Hello, everyone. Today, I'll introduce how to use our Animcraft Metahuman editing tool. This tool has two main features. One is to generate metahuman riggings from a model with the same topology of Metahuman standard. The second function is to edit the DNA of a metahuman. Now, let's open the interface of this Metahuman editing tool. First, let's explain what's under the hood of generating riggings with the tool. First, we have some DNA presets for Metahuman. For example, these are the two default presets that come with it. Let's select a preset for example. It will align the positioning information of the joints in the preset to our own Metahuman model. Once the joint positions are aligned, we can extract the blend shape information from the preset DNA. This information can be applied to the model. After applying, it will continue extract the facial rigging and skinning information from the preset DNA and apply it to the facial model. Finally, a brand new DNA will be created. A DNA created from the current new model. And finish the rigging. This is the entire under the hood process of creating metahuman riggings. Now, let's start by explaining from this interface. First, you'll notice a menu here. In this menu, there's an option to set the preset path. This is where you specify the path to store DNA preset files. You can set a custom path here. Or you can use our default path. Now, let's look below. Here, we have a mirroring function. It's able to mirror the left side joints to the right, or the right side joints to the left. This can be used after importing and positioning joints. Now, let's continue. And skip discussing the saving, loading, and opening now. Let's focus on DNA presets. If you double-click here, the DNA preset will be filled above. Here, you can see the path where our DNA is stored. And here, the output path for DNA files. This is where we determine where to save the DNA file. Once we create the metahuman rigging, we can specify the destination here. Let's continue. Now, here, it's where we will retrieve the DNA files. From the folder path set here. It will be displayed here. And it will indicate the version information of this DNA, such as UE5.2. This is UE. If you click on it, this part will accordingly change. Once we're done explaining here, let's move on to this panel. This panel will display the models we need to mark, such as the head, and the series of models like teeth. We need to mark these ourselves, to specify which parts they are. Of course, we can directly click AutoMark, which will automatically find models in the scene and mark them accordingly. Then we have Clear, which can clears the marked information. Let's continue. When we import, we can simply click and check. After importing, it will import the metahuman skeleton and the controller panel. Moving on to Blend Shapes panel, we can create the blend shapes from the selected DNA. As for the automatic positioning, it can positions our joints automatically. We can click here, but it asks us to mark. Let's first mark it. Now, automatic rigging. You can see it automatically positions the joints. Then we have delete RBF and fix joints. And create RBF. These three features are combined feature. This is for joint fixing. After fixing the joint axes, we need to create joints again. Please note that these three buttons are linked. You should click them sequentially. As for skinning, it's straightforward. It applies the skinning information to the joints. And finally, create rigging. When we create the rigging, it generates the DNA for our own file and links the controller panel and joints. Currently, it hasn't been created yet, so there's no links among them. Now, please notice the important thing is that when using our Metahuman editing tool, we need to switch to the Z-axis as up. You can simply click here. to automatically switch the coordinate space. Once it switches, it will display Z up here. We must ensure that it's Z-axis up. And the character is in a normal standing pose. Now, after explaining this part, we can switch to another panel. Let's discuss the editing of the behavior nodes here. This is for editing the behavior of our DNA. This panel is mainly divided into GUI, expressions, and the joint list, as well as the blend shape list, and controllers. Then there's facial expression information here, as well as the joints here. These are the joints corresponding to expressions, and the blend shapes corresponding to expressions. Now, let's also explain the functions of the buttons. First is delete DNA node. Then create DNA node. They are pretty simple. It's just about deleting and creating DNA nodes, because we can only edit the DNA. After deleting a DNA node, undoubtedly we need to create it again, and then check the result of our editing. Next, the update expression button. After we've deleted, we need to update the expressions. When updating, click here. Then click update expression and then save. After that, we've finished editing this expression. You're done editing. Then, we can create a DNA node to check. To find an expression, you can use the GUI to expression button. For instance, if we select a controller and click it, it will automatically find the corresponding expression of the controller. Then there's mirroring the joints from left to right, and from right to left, also quite simple. When adjusting expressions, we can mirror the positions of joints from left to right. Then there's the mirror from left command. Mirroring expressions from left to right, and mirroring expressions from right to left, are also straightforward. For example, after adjusting one side of the expression, let's say the left side of the expression, you can mirror the result of the left side adjustment to the right side. And then, there is a mirror all button. This function is similar to the previous one. However, running this function can be time-consuming, so it's best to avoid using it unless necessary. Here, we have PSD mirroring and a PSD list mirroring function. The same applies here. So, PSD refers to adjusting facial expressions based on blend shapes. After adjusting blend shapes on one side, you can also mirror them to the other side. Here, we have from left to right, from right to left, and mirror all. Mirroring all can also be time-consuming. Let's move on to this panel. After we've completed all the Metahuman rigging in Maya, we might want to export it to Unreal Engine or UE. However, in UE, the naming of blend shapes is slightly different than in Maya. In UE, blend shape names have a prefix. We can try generating them here to see the difference. In UE, they have a prefix. Let's try generating and checking. As you can see, blend shapes have been generated here. There are over 600 of them, I believe. And if in version 5.2, there will be more than 700. Alright. For example, this blend shape doesn't have a prefix. But if you want to bring it into Unreal Engine, you need to add a prefix to this blend shape. For example, if you click here, you can see it has added a prefix. When you import the file as FBX and bring it into UE, then UE can recognize and use this blend shape. If you don't change it, it won't be recognized. You can also rename them back to Maya status. As you can see, it's back to the Maya status. If you want to export expressions to Unreal Engine, you need to organize your facial joints. You can see it's missing some of facial joints, starting from the waist. If you click here, it will automatically create the missing joints. You can see it has automatically created several joints. And this kind of skeleton is suitable for export to UE. As for this mesh renaming, you can name the model according to the same naming conventions as Metahuman. This usually unnecessary. And as for the panel below, we will discuss it separately. This concludes our explanation of the Metahuman panel. Thanks for watching.